I ain't as educated as the rest of them that have spoke, so I will be reading from my notes and stuff. Just a brief outline of what we are. We're a syndicate shoot in Leicestershire, covering about 1,700 acres all told. As Robert said, he's the shoot captain. We shoot 18 days, averaging between 250 and 300 bird days. That's increased. I've been there 20 years. When I first went there, I was only going for a couple of years before I moved on. Unfortunately, the place got under my skin, and we've been there for quite a while. When I arrived there, the shoot captain was Martin Ward, who was the agent for the estate as well. I took over from a part-time keeper, and myself and Martin set about changing the shoot. We used a lot of ground that hadn't been used before. They only shot 8 days. We immediately put that up to 16 days by putting a lot of partridges down, and over the years that progressed. Myself and Martin had a good working relationship. He left me alone, let me build the shoot up, do what I wanted, paid the bills. And that's how it worked for quite a while. He supported everything I did, and he was a model boss at the time. Well, I thought he was. Just before 11 years, I think it was, I had a bit of an altercation with one of the syndicate members in January. He made some comment that we hadn't got quite as many birds left as we should have, which in my blunt terms, I told him what I thought of him, in no uncertain terms. A week later, on the Beaters Day, Mr. Ward got out his car with his drinks basket, and there's an envelope drops on the floor. All day I asked him what this envelope was because he'd told me it was for me. I thought it was my P45. It wasn't. I had been a little bit over the top with the syndicate member, so I was thinking, oh, I've got away with that. He said, well, I think you know what it is about, which I hadn't got a clue. And it was his resignation as shoot captain. He's still involved in the shoot. He does all the financial side. For a moment, I turned around and I said, thank God for that. To which he replied, oh, thanks very much. I went, oh, no, I thought I was getting the sack. He was just a brilliant boss. So my world suddenly fell apart. What do I do? Do I move on? This is the end of January. He could have warned me before. All those thoughts as a keeper go through your head. What do I do about my family? All that's there. And he said, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. I had no reason not to trust him, but in the back of my mind, that was it. Next day, I was off looking at jobs and trying to sort things out. Unfortunately for Robert, he stepped into the breach. He'd got black hair when he started as my boss some 9 years ago. Robert has been, he stepped into some big shoes, and he took on the shoot, and I'd like to think under the way we've worked, we've bonded straight away, we put a working relationship. I've been the keeper for 30 years, and I remember as a little boy going 9, 10 years old and watching Harry Stango, that was head keeper just up the road here at Merivale, his relationship with his boss. And you watched all the old keepers, they had a relationship with the boss. Luckily, I've got that with Robert. The shoot has continued to grow. Our bond as keeper and boss gets closer. He backs me in everything I do. 2, 3 years ago, it came to a point I thought, I'm going to have to move on. I need a bigger job. I need more money. I need to be looking for the future to buy a house. Sat down with Robert, and because Martin's still involved, we sat and had a meeting. And we chewed the fat. If you need to move on, you move on. We'll back you with anything that we can do. Now, I know people they daren't go and tell the head keeper they want to move, because he'll be funny with them. I know the keeper can't go and tell the boss they want to move. They want to move them out. They both backed me. They both supported me. Robert asked what I needed, and I said, well, I need more money. I need to be able to afford to buy a house in a few years' time when I come towards the retirement age. Well, what can we do to help you while you're here? He financially helped me set up a very small game farm, which it runs alongside the shoot. He supported everything I've done in that. And again, this year he's doing the same so that I slowly grow it so that I can make a little bit more money. He's supported me. I made a bit of a balls up with some confiscated guns that I took off some poachers many years before. Had a bit of a balls up with them with the firearms department last year, to say the least, which ended up seeing me go to court. Through the whole episode, Robert supported me. I did offer to resign, and at which point he said, oh, I've invested too much money into you, you'll have to stop a bit longer. He supported through that. Now, as a boss, I think the Welfare Trust is all, I've supported Helen with lots of things, and you hear all these horror stories of keepers that are made redundant, but you have to have a relationship with your boss. When you've got a relationship like we've got, as an employee and employer, it's special. I can go and sit and talk to Robert about any problems that we have, whether they be work-related, personal-related, self-inflicted, as in my firearms case was. And to be able to go and do that relieves pressure. But when you have a boss that is interested in your family, making sure their welfare is all right, actively comes and speaks to your wife, children, etc., it makes your life easy. The pressures of modern gamekeeping on your family life are really difficult. Having been through one relationship breakdown, into another relationship where we ended up getting married and children, that pressure is very, very difficult. And if you've got somebody that you can turn and sit and talk to, it makes life so much different. Our relationship as a boss, I say it works because A, Robert trusts me, B, we have loyalty and honesty between ourselves, and we can talk about things. I can walk in his office at 7 o'clock any morning of the week, sit and have a cup of coffee and tell him any problems that we've had. I've even rung him up while he was on his own honeymoon a few years ago when we had a problem with some tenants on the estate. The Welfare Trust is a thing that's close to my heart. I've helped Helen on numerous game fairs, etc. And as a keeper, it's great that it's there. I spoke to Helen last year when I went through this trouble. To know that there's somebody at the end of a phone is a big, big thing. But being able to go and sit and talk to somebody face to face, like your boss, and explain the problem, it gives you the confidence to go and do things. And the confidence that you can't, I'm standing here talking in front of you. I don't like talking in front of anybody if I can help it. That is all I'm going to have to say. I'll keep it short and sweet, but our working relationship is what we were here for, because it just highlights what they can do. Your boss is important, and you should be able to go and talk to your boss. Thank you very much.